episode 47 of Rubber Down. I'm joined today with Ian Madsen. Hey, mate, how are you? What's been going on since the Australian title? What's been happening, man?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on. Since the Australian title, it's been a bit of a bit chaotic. As most people know, I got injured on the prelim night there. I was involved in a crash and did some damage to my C5 in my neck. It's a different injury than the last one I had last year. Just really thankful and grateful to the safety crews in Mount Gambier and the hospital in Adelaide. It's been a hard 2 weeks, but finally starting to feel better, and kind of getting optimistic about the future. It's going to be a bit of a setback for me, but I feel confident that it's not going to shave too much of the season off for me. And looking, really optimistic about still looking forward to have a really good season with Hybrid Motorsports and Judd Kroll. Just really conditioning myself to do whatever I can to get back in that race car as quick as I can and when it's safe to do so.
For sure, mate. Now, it's a neck injury, so when you're laying there and then you're finding out the news about the injury, was it one of those injuries that you heard and you're like, okay, this isn't as bad as last time? And then you're sort of already navigating what you need to do to get better as quick as you can?
I think there was just a lot of shock and denial at first. I think I knew that, something had happened. But the competitiveness in me and just the excitement, this upcoming season in the US was just one that I was super excited about and super pumped. It had been, it's been a rough few years for me and trying to get my US career back on track. And I feel like I had the perfect season lined up with the perfect teams, in particular the Hybrid and Motorsport car, Ryan and Ashley, Judd Kroll, the Brett Brecker Racing, and Seidenkrantz to do some 360 stuff. And it was just devastating when I got the news in the hospital that night. But then, after the initial shock and you get some time to grieve, it goes straight away into planning on how do you get better and make sure this thing doesn't happen again. And, and really adapting to the adverse situation and just trying to refocus, and making sure you can do whatever you can to be ready for when that time comes to get back in the car.
For sure. And it was one of those crashes that no one really seen or got footage of. Can you sort of explain if you got memory of what went on the night of Mount Gambier, the crash?
So I made just kind of banged wheels a little bit with another car entering three, and it actually caused the front axle to break and collapse. And the left front wheel fell off, and then that caused the front end to dig in, and it was kind of one of those, jarring, nose to tail, nose to tail, nose to tail. And then I think on the very last one, it come to like a screeching halt into the ground, and I think that's the one that done the damage. For such a little place, such a little bullring place, it was really an aggressive crash, and probably one of the hardest ones I've had in a long time. And I've had some good ones, so that says something.
Yeah, it is. It's first few times I've been to Mount Gambier, it's pretty action packed, and it's either like green to checker or just carnage. That's what it just feels like. Maybe it feels a bit like Plex. That's what that's been doing lately too. So
just it's quite daunting when you get, you're sitting in the hospital and you get all this news at once. It's just like an avalanche of bad news. I've been through it before. I've been through worse stuff before, and I will be back. And just wanted to let all my fans know and let the public know that I really appreciate the support everyone's given me and the hundreds and hundreds of text messages and calls I've got. And I'm sorry if I didn't get back to everyone, but it's just been overwhelming, but finally starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel the last few days. And I've been up and walking around and going for walks and got in the pool yesterday. So every day is an improvement, and I'm hoping to return back to the US in the next week or two. and then just start on my recovery.
That's what I was going to say. How much time has changed in your schedule now? So you were supposed to race when, and what's the dates or month you're looking at, potentially get back
Yeah,
in a
so
race car?
originally I was supposed to start with Brett Becker Racing in Texas with the World of Outlaws in a few weeks. So obviously that's scratched for now.
Mm-hmm.
And then that whole month of March and probably more than likely most of April is a scratch. But I'm really gunning for that 3 month mark, which will be May.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's safe to do so, as long as the doctors tell me it's okay, and I'm going to do everything. The onus is on me to do everything I can to make it happen as well. So, just strict diet and just really do everything they say.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it one of those things where I feel like you've done a lot of work, to get back in like race shape, and now it's like now I've got to be sit still again. I don't want to undo all that hard work. You know what I mean? That's another mental aspect that people forget about when you get injuries like this.
Oh, absolutely. All the activities I love to do that, are conducive to healthy living. Like, obviously I was really back into the gym and exercise and bike riding and, to have all that taken away in just an instant again is quite soul crushing. But, I think about how hard I've worked to get to this point and, this should be relatively easily comparable.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Well, hope you already look like better than the last accident. Like I was expecting you to be in a neck brace or something. You like just sit there all relaxed. So that's really good and positive to see.
Yeah.
Eliminator race wings are Australian manufactured with recessed rivets for extra strength. Manufactured with 6061 T6 aluminium for lightweight and strength. Sprint car top wings, dished and flat, along with front wings. They also have Formula 500 wings now available. Eliminator race wings available Australia-wide.
All right, so why we also got you to come on today is, to review last night, Midweek Mayhem at Perth Motorplex, and also it's sort of to get a driver's insight on maybe incidents that happen or situations when you've raced at Perth Motorplex. So, first off, overall, before we get into all the details, what was your overall thought on last night at Perth Motorplex?
Well, it definitely lived up to its name, Midweek Mayhem. Um, and obviously, most people know you and me are in Sydney, so it makes it difficult to stay up to watch, and it can get frustrating at times with the work area there. It's just like, it's just off tap. It's absolute mayhem there every night, and last night didn't. It lived up to the expectations as well.
Well, that's why I'm having a coffee. Because I said, we good to go? And you're like, yeah, I'm waiting. I said, I'll turn it all on. I went and made this coffee and went, it's only been like 5 hours sleep, bro. Like, I got to get this going.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I've already slammed an energy drink down. So.
Yeah. I'm saving mine. That's going to be like, I reckon,
okay.
my 11:30 hit when I'm like this again. All right, then. Yeah, so it does feel like over the last few weeks, and I do think this sort of has led back to the classic with the carnage. Now it's led to all this stuff, and then the work area has become like this in light, and now it's like, I don't think it's as good as what we wanted at the classic either, guys. Like maybe it should be like that. Do you know what I mean? Is that what you're feeling, or no? It's a bit different.
I think Australia just has this tendency to do things just one way or the other to the extreme. So, obviously you don't want a situation like the Warrnambool Classic where you have 4 or 5 of the best cars in the field sitting on the infield after a few laps either. But on the other hand, you can't have people staying up till 2 a.m. in Sydney to watch a Perth race because, every old mate's coming in every second for, to fix who knows?
I know what you mean.
I don't even know what half of them are doing in there half the time, but it really is, it's really like vacuum. It's like a vacuum that sucks the excitement out of the race, and it just gets so repetitive, and it's just frustrating as a fan. So just hopefully they can come to a healthy balance. Obviously if a guy gets a flat tire early in the race, you don't want him sitting on the infield for the whole race either. But at some point, I know the competitor in the driver always wants to get to the work area to get back out there because I've been in that position a million times. And you just want to do whatever you can to get back out on the track. It's not your job to really decide what is a rational decision or not in that time, but it's the onus is really on the officiating or even the team members to say, hey lads, like let's just it's been a rough one tonight, let's just call it a night.
Yeah, I think they sort of were hanging on and just hoping it got to that 15 lap mark by the sounds of it last night. They're like, yep, halfway stop. And then also too, like it wasn't even a Maddington, it was technically, I think they called it a Maddington Toyota round at no points. So like there wasn't even need for a work area or like it was just
no, there's really no
it's a 10 grand to win, and if you're at the back, like you're at the back, bruv. Like I thought that.
Like just
it's pretty much a hard place to win with all the big cars there anyway now at the back.
Get back to the pit, crack a tin, and get ready for the next one, eh? Like,
well, it's not Parramatta. You can't roll off and piss off into the darkness. You're stuck on the Plex infield, and it's pretty bright, so you can't be cracking tins there.
No.
All right, now we'll get into the night. The qualifying was pretty straightforward. It was slickened off pretty bad, though. I did hear in the commentary that they were saying, like, how the Plex works. If the wind blows a certain way, they reckon it gets really dry. And they said that was the case last night. Ian Madsen, your brother, quick time flight 1, Kate Amanda's flight 2, Taylor Milling flight 3, and Ryan Newton in the other S&D Motorsport was quick time flight 4. Thoughts on that type of qualifying track? Are you a fan of that, or is it, man, like we don't need to be up on the fence that early in the night?
Oh, I mean, I'm not either here or there, but that's just the way it is every night there. So I know the grip is scant across everywhere at Perth Motorplex. So it looks pretty daunting and challenging being up on the wall like that in qualifying every week, and definitely suits the guys that have the bravest and have the best cars. Obviously Kerry was really badass in his one and laid down a good lap, and then most of the guys that you thought were gonna be good in that laid down some good laps. Surprised with Salah, he laid a really good one down.
Very good, didn't he? Very good.
Yeah, but it's just much of the same there, it seems, every week for qualifying. So I mean, it's not whether you like it or not, that's just the way it is, and you have to adjust to it and figure out how to make it happen. But I couldn't imagine if you just like rolled up there for the first time and you'd be like, oh yeah, go qualify on that, mate.
I was about to say, like, did your first trip to the Plex, and I think like a guy like Brody Davis, it was like, man, that must have been like, I mean, I remember Darwin earlier in the year at Chariots was like that thin razor on the wall, but it ain't Perth Motorplex, this big dome of like, it's our Eldora, I guess. But could you imagine if Eldora qualified on the fence like that?
Oh, they do sometimes.
I know,
I've been there for it, so.
That's crazy. But yeah, so straight away we sort of knew that, okay, we're going to get some track prep, around the heat racing and that. But the one guy that didn't get his night started and we didn't see anything from him was James McFadden. Didn't get the engine start. Car couldn't get going. Qualifying tried. Heat racing start. Have you been in a position, something like that, where you're chasing it and it just doesn't happen and it's like all that prep and you don't even get to turn the thing on?
I mean, yeah, I have, but that was most of that stuff that happened was early on in my career when, really didn't know what I was doing with the race cars or mechanically wise or anything like that. So it's a bit abnormal for something like that to happen in such a professional team.
Yeah,
I know Kim Buzzy is the best in the business, and he's such a incredible crew chief. I know that it must have been just some sort of freak 1 in a million thing, because that normally wouldn't happen under a team like that. And it was weird.
Oh, it'd be one of those things. I guess it was a bigger show. They send that thing back and change motors or something. But I guess what the show was, they're like, what's not worth it?
I think any other night of the week or any other race that they probably make it happen and it gets back out and J-Mac puts on a good charge. But unfortunately for us, it was just a Wednesday night race with the Cricky boys up in 48 hours. So kind of robbed us a little bit because, I was kind of pumped to watch when I saw the grid for the B main and saw him out of the back of the B.
Oh, me too. I was like, he's just going to smack this.
Yeah, I was like, this is going to be worth staying up for. And then, I was quite disappointed when I found out they were just parking it for the night, but probably safest business decision for them.
Oh, for sure. And like the Cricket Boys is one of those Australian races, that's up there that every team wants to win. And it's probably the best night it happened for them. Like it's like, oh, well, you can take a good and a bad. Well, at least it happened tonight.
Yeah, the silver lining in that is, it did happen on the Wednesday night, not last weekend when they were leading 40,000 to win, or this weekend when they're leading the Cricket Boys. So it's not the end of the world for those guys, and I'm sure that they're going to be one of the red hots to win it this weekend.
Yeah, they'll just put another big dog in and send it, I reckon. Or find the electric issue. Now, one of the things I did straight away, I'm like, oh, do they have the device hooked up? That's one of the things you look at Perth. If a guy's not going, you sort of think now, and that's just because that's how they running things there with the series, or the club of Western Australia now have this aura of running this device, and they tried to bring it east, and it feels like every time we bring it east, it's like everyone looks at it and goes, well, if you don't know what you're doing with it, just leave it in the box, brother. And I feel like that's the vibe we're getting over here. Like, even the Australian title, they tried to run it, and it was like, what are we doing? Do we really want to rerun on this at Australian title?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I definitely don't have, the technical knowledge or anything down that department to really comment on any of it.
Yeah,
I know,
but that's what I mean, Ian. It's one of those things where a lot of
I haven't
guys are
run
in
it
this
this
situation.
year, or I'd hate to sprout off about anything that's kind of out of my wheelhouse. So I'll just leave that one alone.
It is very smart decision, maybe, as a driver. But yes, anyway, I'm just saying, like, one of those things is like at Perth over the last season, if someone's going wrong with that type of engine or ignition, you look straight away at that. And it wasn't the case. So that was a good sign. It's not like that ruined the night again.
Yeah, I guess so. I didn't even really think about that, but it's such a hot button issue that now that you say that, I bet the Facebook comment section was going wild when it wouldn't start.
Facebook comment section. That place is either really good to be in, or just get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Also. All right, so anyway, we missed out on J-Mac, but Inverter 4, which I think is, as a driver, do you think that is the best format? Inverter 4 or first up? I mean, obviously you'd want to be able to pole, but I mean, racing-wise, and if you're pretty quick.
I mean, I don't really think it matters. The car, the depth of cars that really are capable of winning is probably always around that 16 mark anyway. So you're just like refreshing the same cars. Really, if it's an invert 1 or an invert 4, I think probably the invert 4 is a little bit more friendly to some of the guys that don't qualify as stout as some of the other guys. I think at the end of the day, you're always going to see, especially at Perth Motorplex, you're always going to see the same guys up the front. So I don't have an opinion on it, really.
And it's points as well. So, like, if you pass one car and you went quick time, you're sort of in a good spot anyway.
I mean, the only thing I don't like about it is it just does seem so reliant on your qualifying lap. And, it's, if you don't get a good lap in at the end of the night, at the beginning of the night, it doesn't really seem like there's a way to climb yourself out of that with their format.
Oh, points-wise, you mean?
Yeah, points-wise.
Yeah.
I know that even if J-Mac had probably come from the back of the heat race to win that, he's probably still in the B main. So that's the negative part I see about it. I just think he should be rewarded if there is a guy that does put on a bit of a charge in the heat and gets up there, and there should be some sort of avenue for him to make up the points deficit, I guess.
Yeah, is that where, like, I guess, if you run a points night like that, instead of running a points night, it's more like finish position reward and then you do a dash draw? Because if he goes from 10th to 4th, he's locked into the dash maybe, and then he gets to spin a wheel or something.
Yeah, I guess that'd be all right.
Yeah. Okay, so straight away in the heat racing, we've seen it slick as anything that didn't touch the track, and some of the real good battles in heat number 1 was Matt Eagle and Dane Kingshot sliding, and they actually got together, and I'm like, oh no, we're going to get mayhem in the heat races here. And then Madsen and Williamson were going at it, Jack Williamson for a bit there. Well, is it one of those things where, put yourself in that, you're the fastest qualifying guy and you're out of 4 and you make that spot and you feel like you got a quicker car, but you're just stuck in a battle Can that be frustrating sometimes? You just got to be patient.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't raced at Perth in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely since it has just been so, ruthless on the cushion. And, I think if you start out of four, I think it is a safe spot. It's probably the better spot to start than three because you can kind of go where you want going into one.
Yep.
But I guess I don't think fourth is good enough. So it does look like you have to make up a spot or two to really get some insurance on being in that dash. So it does look pretty daunting and tricky for like I was watching Kerry and I was like, oh, I saw him went to put a move on King Shot into three and I didn't really know if that was necessary or not because I don't really know obviously I'm not
what it meant. Did it really put him in a good state or you could have just chilled out?
We could have just chilled out, but yeah, it does look like it's a bit daunting for the quick guy because it does look like he doesn't really he knows that he can't take a lot of chances, but it doesn't really look like he can just cruise around there either. Because I think it was a few nights ago, one of the fast guys backed up a little bit in the heat and they actually missed the dash. So
I think it was J-Mac.
Yeah, so
he went feeling like a fifth, and then he was in the mid pack, and it was like, oh man, damn.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the mid pack dash? Rate it or like just wait for your spot for the A-main?
I think it's just a way for the track to get in, another race for the fans. So, I don't know. Probably as an owner, I probably wouldn't like it, but as a driver, I think any chance you can get out there and work on your race car, especially if you're in that first heat race in the blazing sun, and then you end up in the mid pack. There's a good chance you may not get back out there for the rest of the night until the feature race. So you probably got like 3 to 4 hours of downtime there and 2 different racetracks. So I think it's a good chance for those guys to get back out on the track. And as long as it's not, it's conducive to passing and not pretty brutal on tyre wear, I think it's a good thing.
That used to be at Parramatta. I remember like if you ran top 6 and you went in the dash, it was literally like 3.5 hours till you ran the feature and you just sat around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you may be right. Like you don't get to fuel your car or make that fine change. You're literally just watching dirt. And if you're not, experienced there, you're not really sure 100% what to make the call on, yeah?
Yep.
So yeah, there's a dash, and Heat 2 was pretty straightforward. Jock Goodyear just was out of here in a different postcode, gone. And I was like, oh, okay, Jock's on tonight. And then Callum Williamson was the same in Heat 3. He actually came from third as well, so put himself in really good spot there. And then we get to Heat 4, which was... in Heat 3 was an interesting one. No, I'm thinking dash. Too many of the same guys in the same race. Heat 4, Harding, and then Harding drove away with it, experienced Perth guy. But it was like everyone was just going to turn 1, get your spots, and then, oh my God, hold on, because we're on a razor-thin wall. Is that what it sort of felt like to you as well? Make your move and then just, okay, it's slick as, let's just get through the 10 laps?
Yeah, the heat races have been pretty lackluster, I thought, because it's just like, obviously the first corner is paramount, and then after that, it's just kind of get in line, get up on the wall, and go. So it seems like if it doesn't happen in the first lap or two, it's not going to happen, does it?
Some tracks are like that. I even think like maybe Plex, when it's like juiced up, it's the same. You know what I mean? Like they go into one and then it's like, okay, let's just hold our fast line. And so it's like, it's very hard, I guess, to get a balance. And maybe a track like Perth just needs lap traffic or needs time to expand a race.
Yeah. And I think a pretty good rule of thumb is like, you're not going to get, if the trade-off normally is like bad heat races, good feature, really good heat races, sometimes a bad feature. So as long as the feature race is good and the fans leave with that last race being exciting, I think that's all that matters.
Another guy that made some moves in that heat race was Aaron Reitel. Started out of 4 and just got Jason Kendrick on the line. And then it still put him like, I think 4th out of a dash, which again, I'm like, he moved up, which hurt my brain a bit. And then Ryan Newton didn't move at all. So he started 4th and was quick time and stayed 4th. So they both in their dashes. Aaron Reitel was out of... row 2, so 4, and then Ryan Newton was out of 4 as well in his dash. Track in the heat races, is it one of those things where I don't know, just is it a different slick here, mate? I've tried to ask this to drivers. Obviously, different tracks are different. I know I've just said different a million times. But what I'm getting at is like, obviously you race in America, you can turn up hot laps and slick, but it's just the standard. Is it just where you go, or is it just more guys are accustomed over there to those conditions?
I think the slick here is normally like a little exacerbated because of the curfew. So, in America, we're not ever, I mean, there is some places, but mostly speaking, we're not like heat racing in the blazing sun like we are here.
Okay, yep.
So we start a little later over there. There's nowhere really that we're, heat racing on that like that 6 to 6 p.m. like where the sun is just beating down on the track, and it just makes it 10 times as slick. Most of the time you got the sun in your eyes as well. So there's like a lot of various factors as to just why it just gets so slick over here in the heat races. And the main contributor is just like we're just racing on the track at the wrong time of the day, the wrong time of the night.
Well, that happens here because we have so many classes on. We've got to try to fit everything in 10 hours, and unfortunately sprint cars go out first and they go, oh, we want a good track for you guys, but then it's like you said, the wrong time of day and it just gets blown apart.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I was growing up, go to Parramatta and, the heat racing wouldn't start until, the sun was down. So, and then, just getting record temperatures across Australia everywhere. And like there's just nothing that's there's no racetrack that's going to withstand the amount of abuse that we put on them at the wrong time of the day.
For sure. And I do want, like, you're a driver and you can explain it how you got to show up here in Australia at like 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock to race. You do all your stuff, where America, you literally turn up 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then you're on the track around like 6. Hey, like you're in and out and it's at the best time and the track's good.
Oh, I mean, it's not, I'm not complaining about it. It's just the way it is.
No, I'm
down
not complaining. I'm just saying, like, that's how
like
it's
no,
there
it's just the
for
way,
what you need
like
to do, and then you're home.
it's your whole day gone here. I know racing at Knoxville Weekly, you can cruise in probably you could cruise in as late as 5:36 if you really wanted to, and you could still, there's guys that probably have day jobs that probably work all day Saturday or do soccer games or softball games with their kids on Saturday and then go to the races on Saturday night, and that's just not going to happen here. It's basically when you wake up on a Saturday morning here, it's or whatever day the race is, it's the whole day is mapped out for you, and it's frustrating because it's hard. It's one of the biggest things I struggle with really is racing down here is just like the hurry up and wait and the management of the downtime, because it can get hard, especially like when we're at Warrnambool, like wake up with the lads, we get in the van, go get some rolls or whatever from the bakery for breakfast, and basically you head straight to the racetrack and get working. So it's it takes a huge chunk out of the race teams. It wears everyone out, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, I was going to say mentally, because it feels like you're at the track 5 days straight, no escape. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or you're trying to find jobs to do in the car because you're there.
Yeah.
You bolt check? Yeah, 6 times. Do it again. You're good. Like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So, track prep after the heats. We said they, on the commentary, the East makes it slick, so which was really cool. I actually spoke to Gav Migro, I think, High Limit the year before. We had this night too, this really hooked up night, and I was like, oh, this is a bit bummy, like a bit hot lappy all night. And he goes, no, watch now, like the wind's going this way. It's about to go really slick. And I looked at Binny and went, yeah, righto, this is going to slicken off, righto. And then literally the dash was like on the fence, dust blowing, and I'm like, all right, well, there's scientist genius over here. That is very weird, and I did not expect that. And ever since then, I've believed him. So they do the track prep. And then we get into the dashes. So they've had a few other classes in between that. The A-dash was Williamson and Manders. Now, they were off the front row on that, and they got together. Williamson threw a cow slide job, which I mean, like, he sends it when he does. And then they got together over Manders' left front. Manders' front end's out, so he just went from a potential front row, second row start to, row 5, row 6, which at the Plex sometimes on a track like last night is not where you want to be. It's very hard to make up. What was your thoughts on that situation? I know Aaron Reitzel said, well, if Karen Williamson's throwing you a slide job, you've got to get on the brakes. He literally said that on the interview.
Did he? I don't know. I mean, you've got to send it if it's not just Callum. It's just if you want to complete the slide job there, you've got to send it. Otherwise, if you miss it, you just you're leaving yourself open to 2 or 3 def sliders yourself for the next 2 corners.
Yeah.
So I think you just sent her in there, and it just looked like honestly looked like 50-50 to me. It looked like Manders, made a split-second decision where he thought he could probably clear it and get around it. And I know Callum probably didn't mean it as either, because there's no reason to be drunk in race cars on the first lap of the dash.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's just it's high-stakes racing and it's intense. So, I think just 2 dudes just going for it. And unfortunately, one paid the price. And I don't think there was, I think the hole just probably closed up quicker than Manders thought it would. And unfortunately that happens, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say, split second, you're not wrong. I couldn't imagine, Cowes probably didn't see Manders at all until he hears his motor and then together. And then Manders has probably only seen him and then just gone, oh yeah, there's a gap there. I'm just going to keep on this cushion. Maybe he just didn't get that enough grip to zap through, So, how looking at your wheel,
Callum got really lucky too, because Callum kind of got the hoppies going, and I thought he might go over too. So that's
what I mean. I'm like, they're both out, and then he got lucky. So.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Reitzel was the beneficiary of all of it. He started out of 4, and then he even said in his interview he got lucky, but then that put him from potentially a row 4 inside 7th starting spot if he finished there to front row start. That is massive in a dash like that. Sometimes you forget what the A and B dash mean. Every pass is a row. So do you as a racer enjoy the dash where it's like top 8, top 6, or where it's split and you got a chance to jump rows?
I don't know. It doesn't, kind of half dozen, 6 the other, I guess. I think probably that's something we didn't factor into the crash either. It was probably, those guys know and race there nightly and know that that's not just a spot, that's a row. So,
so you just lost 5 rows. Boom, gone.
A row can mean a lot. So that they're probably, if that's a situation where it's just a spot, both of them may play a little nicer to each other. But being at row, they probably just bit of a bravado from both, trying to get that row and come together. And unfortunately for Aaron, that opened that up, and he got lucky, but I think he was starting out of 4, was it anyway?
Yeah. So
I think he was probably going to be up there anyway. I probably predicted he was probably going to run second in that dash anyway. So, sometimes you just get lucky, and the thing that's important about when you do get lucky is that you capitalize on it, and he did.
Execute it, exactly. So then we go to B dash, and it was the Ryan Newton dash. He went from 4th, made the moves in turn 1, and then off he went, gone. And that car looked crazy after that track prep. And that, like you said, one of those moves where it literally was turn 1, he made his decision, slid milling, and then just, off to the sunset. And it looked like he was one of the favourites to win the feature last night.
Yeah, so that was Kerry's dash. Kerry kind of spun the wheels on the bottom, got a bad start, and that opened it up for Ryan. And he like Aaron, he made the most of it and got a really good, fortunate start there. And it sucked for Kerry because, they're rows like we're talking about. So they put him back on the 3rd row. And Ryan was flying in that dash. I think that was the best I thought that was the best he's looked in that race team since he's been there. So.
Yeah, well, if you think what Ryan has done in that, it's been pretty fast, and I feel like just maybe the feature results haven't really shown how good the car and the connection has been, and also like Kerry yourself, Kerry, the same, it's being really good, and then the feature, a few incidents, it's it doesn't really show how fast both cars have been, and maybe I guarantee they're nearly top 3, top 5 cars easily each night they've been.
Oh, absolutely. I think obviously testament to how badass John Curran is and the race team he's put together for himself, because both those cars are just absolutely flying every night. Kerry's thing's been ripping every night he's in it. I think as long as he's finished, he's been on the podium. And with a good chance to win the classic, and really good podium the other night, and then leading the other night before he got into that accident, and then last night as well. It looked like I thought he was really going to be the only threat to Aaron before, unfortunately, he got caught up in whatever that was. So it sucks, but I'm sure those guys take some solace in knowing that they do have one of the fastest cars there, and if they put it all together, there's no one that can beat them.
Yeah, for sure. We've obviously seen when Brock Zierfoss has been in that car, he's always qualifying and doing really good heat racing stuff. And Brenton, one of the crew chiefs there, has really got his head and the cars wrapped around the Plex. So they seem to just start the night really well, and that's very important. Like, their cars are both quick in qualifying, and they can hit their marks. And totally different driving styles. We got like 34 years between them. You know what I mean?
Really?
Like, one's 21 and one's 55. Well, he's 55. Am I right there? 54? You're hopeless. So. It's your brother, for God's sakes. Anyway, I don't mean to say if he's older, but yeah, there's just a lot of different experience where a guy's just been going to America, where Kerry's lived and done it all in America. So, and to be both fast out of the gate, like, that's good on Brenton and that team there. So, and also too, you've got a guy like Kerry who has raced in different teams and done it all. You know what I mean? Where Ryan's just coming out and running out his own team and running in a different car. So that's pretty cool for a young guy to get some speed straight away in a different car. You must know, like, how does that feel as a driver going to a different team for the first time or second time, and you're like, I really want to make sure I'm good in this car so I get more rides, maybe?
It's probably the most challenging part of the sport as a kind of like a freelance driver, because you are going from team to team. Everyone's different. Every car's different. The personalities that you meet are different. It can actually, I've driven for so many teams over the last 15, 20 years that it can really, teach you a lot of good people skills, because you do have to learn about the intricacies of, certain different teams and how to adapt to different situations and talk to people, communicate. Everyone communicates different. Everyone likes different things. So it is quite challenging, and obviously there's situations that you're just going to naturally get in that fit better than others. So, I mean, as a driver, I'm sure Ryan, I think he's raced that car once or twice before, so you generally know, you have a good feeling about it, or maybe you're a bit nervous about it if you've never met some of the guys before or seen the equipment before. But I think with Sean, it should be pretty seamless, because his reputation around the sport is pretty good, really good actually, and he's known for professional outfits, professional race teams, and having a fast car every time he hits the track, and he's just a good dude in general. So I don't think that should be that hard for Ryan. He's a pretty good kid, so just rock up and go at it.
That's why another thing you just mentioned there was, like, first time seeing the gear. Like, if the deal's done over the phone call and you're like 10 hours away, you don't see the car till you get to track and the people. Is that one of the things, like, am I going to be safe in this thing? Have they done all the one percenters right? Like, how do you go about that? Or when you first started, did you really think about that stuff?
Yeah, it's a tough situation, because you really have to. It's hard when you're a driver and you don't have the financial backing of family money or anything like that, because you're so eager that you just want to say yes to every ride that calls up. And I probably learned this lesson the hard way, and it's been not to discredit anyone I've ever driven for, but definitely it's a lot easier these days than it was when I first started racing, because you can just kind of get on and Google the race team, or
driven it,
or you can at least get on Dirt Vision or Flow and like watch the car race and be like, oh yeah, that looks like it goes all right. But I kind of had this last year with when I finished up for TKS last year, and I got a phone call from the Brett Becker team to do a high limits race in Texas that weekend, and I'd never heard of the team, never heard of of the owners or anything. So you kind of call around and you're like, oh, is this good? Are they good people? And
Yeah.
basically I was just like, got on Google, Facebook and whatever, was looking at like the pictures of the race car, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks pretty good. And had like 2 days notice, and so I flew down to Texas, and luckily for me, it turned out to be incredible people with an incredible race team. But it is it's quite daunting. It is like a coin toss whether it's going to be what they say it is or not.
Yeah, and the personnel, like you could get there, yeah, we know what we're doing, and then they just throw to you like, what would you do? What would you do? Have you ever had a situation where you're like, bro, like I'm supposed to be the driver, what's going on?
No, they're the situations that you kind of welcome.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, like you kind of get there, and I've got enough experience now. I know where I want what I want, and I kind of know where to get started to get myself a good baseline. So you kind of welcome that input straight away. If you get there and the guys are like, we're really going to lean on you, I'd much rather that than you get there and they're just like, this is the way it is and this is the way we're going to run it. That's because it's sport is all, it changes every night. Everything's changing every night. So you never want to kind of get there and they have that know-it-all attitude. You'd much rather be like, oh, we're open to ideas and whatever you want to try. So, and it's you can pretty much tell within the first few hours of getting there, if you're fluent in sprint car language or not, whether they know what they're talking about.
I like that. Fluent in sprint car language. That's a very good one. That should
Yeah.
be a t-shirt. Just, are you fluent in sprint car racing? So what about though, is it different in Australia though? I feel like we race at less tracks and the competition is pretty close. If you're just jumping in other cars and telling people what you do versus in the States where it's so big and a guy that you're racing at a team at Texas, never going to go and race somewhere else. Like, are you sort of still hesitant to give details away here if you're going to be racing against that guy or not really because, you're jumping from ride to ride and just want to be fast to keep your stock. And that's another thing people don't see, eh? Like, if you go to a car and you're not good, your stock, do you feel like sometimes you can go, oh, he doesn't have it anymore or it's a gear?
Oh, yeah, that is like a double-edged sword because, I'm very fortunate that I've been able to make a living out of sprint car racing, but
Yep.
There's been a lot of times in my life where it's my sole income. So if you lose a ride, say in 2020 when I lost my ride with KCP,
Yeah.
and you're with such a badass team that has the best of everything. And then you kind of have to be very protective of your brand and what you go drive next.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy to get in something that's not quite as good, and then you kind of go from where you're accustomed to running top threes, top fives every night to top eights, top tens, and then the next thing you go drive is it's only accustomed to making the shows, and so it's a real tricky situation because it is your sole income. So you do have to get out there to pay the bills, but you just have to be very, vigilant about and kind of checking yourself about, all right, yeah, you're checking your ego because your ego wants to get back out there to prove a point.
Yeah.
But you also got to be realistic about what that car that you've been offered might be capable of.
And that's like back to like sharing information because I sort of asked two questions there, of course, standard Codeman. Sharing information, like you sort of have to because you said it's your sole income. I need this as best as I could to get as much money in my pocket, so I'm going to tell them exactly what I think I need to make this thing go fast.
I mean, at that point, you're probably just going to tell them whatever you know to make the thing go fast.
Yeah.
I think when the driver in you'd have that tendency whenever you're going to this thing, you're like, I'm going to make this work, whatever it takes, and I'm going to be here forever. And you're in that honeymoon stage, so you're going to tell them whatever they want to hear.
Yeah, true. Okay, yeah, true. You got to. It's a game of chess, eh? You got to play it. Everyone does.
Yeah.
So, and then also too, is it sometimes putting your ego aside and knowing what the car's capable of when you're out there? It's like, this is all this car's got. I can't do anything more.
I don't think it's as much the ego. I think it's it's more paramount not to be so critical of yourself.
Okay. Yep.
I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to putting pressure on myself. So I think it's easy to go, even if you're driving something incredible, like you've got to give yourself time, because say you go from one ride to another, and you've just got to give yourself time to get acclimated. And as a driver, you want to go out and prove yourself, prove all the doubters wrong, and prove to yourself that you've still got it. But you might be in something that's not capable of winning, and it's easy to get out of the car at the end of the night and go, oh, it must be me, because I've lost that ride, I've lost, now I'm driving this, and I can't get going in this. So I'm starting to doubt my own abilities, rather than really kind of taking the emotion out of it, and talking to yourself rationally. And that's probably better to do the next day, about, hey, this is what this car was probably capable of, and you did a good job in keeping your own spirits up.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. It's all tricky, mate. But
it's a big mental game, hey. It is, yeah. It's bloody tough. All right, let's get into the feature then. So, lap 1, Mayolo, upside down. And then we're like, oh, don't be like the other night, please. And let's say it was still a bit stop-start, the feature. I felt like at the start of the race, Reitzel got away and looked really dominant. Newton fell into second nice, and those two sort of looked away. And the rest, and Kerry was chasing with Milling and Kingshot, and they were having nice battles, but it feels like everyone was trying to be a bit settled because it was on the fence. And then we still had work area issues. I think Lancaster tagged the wall. Standard Plex guys roll around to try to get the yellow to go there. I don't even think, which frustrated me, I don't even think they touched his car in the work area. And that was where I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we're rolling around again and again and again.
Yeah, I know. It was frustrating as a fan, but it was the track actually was a little different than I thought that it had been. It was a lot slicker than it had been, and definitely that moisture wasn't up on the fence. There was parts of the fence where you could see there was no cushion at all.
Yeah.
So it looked like grip was more scant than it had been the whole time we'd been here. So
yeah, for sure.
You could actually see a lot of guys. There was actually a lot of guys moving around and trying to find some grip elsewhere. I think at any point, kind of rubber down was imminent, and you could see a lot of the veteran guys kind of moving around trying to find that. I think it looked like Kerry may have found some on the entries into 1 and into 3. And I'm sure at some point it did lay it down a little bit at the end. I know Aaron, like right on those last 2 laps, he was right around the bottom. So it was just standard Perth, man. It was just mayhem and lots of crashes, lots of spins, lots of work area time.
That's the one thing we sort of talked about when we had a quick debrief. It was more of a debrief, guys, before of a let's get our emotions out of the way, because I think we needed to. But can you really explain, like, we've seen Lancaster go to the work area, they changed the right rear, it was filling up with clay, they change it, but they don't put a bleeder in. Can you really explain, like, when you don't put a bleeder in a right rear in a sprint car, what it does to that tyre and the car?
I mean, I don't want to criticize the guys, because...
No, not the guys, just like more just explain like what that does.
I would do the same in that situation, because as the driver, you're just like, he's probably in this cockpit screaming, just push me off, get me back out there at whatever cost, because that's the competitor that's bred into you, is just, if you're not wanting to get back out there under any circumstances, then you probably shouldn't be in the seat.
Okay.
That's probably the onus is on someone else, I guess, in that deal, to probably be like, hey, mate, like, no, there's not much point going back out, especially on sort of like a wet, rainy track. Somewhere like Warrnambool or something where it's just rained and the cars are super tight. You could probably go back out there without a bleeder.
Okay.
And it not be such a disadvantage. But yeah, you're not going to do much heading back out there without a bleeder. But the guys are just doing whatever they can to get back out on the track, and that's not really their fault.
So as a driver, what does that do to your car? You said it gets tighter. Like what does that change of air without releasing it with the bleeder do to that race car?
It's just going to build up that right rear pressure insanely quick, and I'm sure they're probably, it's probably going to be at 20 pounds probably within about 10 laps.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're probably on around 8 or 9 pounds normally. So it's just going to make the car, it's going to be like driving. Well, it already is like driving on ice there, but it would just
even more.
It would magnify that problem by about 1,000%.
Yeah, well, that's probably not the track you want to be doing that on. So then we get into, I think Coyle came back in. Even the commentator said he's been in there a bit this year. And I was like, damn, they even throwing that at him? Like, and again, once you said, I under the impression straight away, and then it was not a points round. So I'm like, why are we stressing so hard about the work area? Like, I get it, and then it does feel 2 minutes, but I couldn't imagine that roll around system in the car must be frustrating as a driver.
Yeah, it feels like an eternity as a fan. It feels like way longer than 2 minutes. Yeah, it must be frustrating out on the, if we can't handle it on the couch, I couldn't imagine. Yeah, I couldn't imagine it'd be very tolerable when you're rolling around there and you're worried about, on the other side of that, you got all the guys out there with bleeders in their cars.
Yes.
So on the other side of that, they've got tires that are bleeding air off, and it's tricky because on a restart, you want as much air in the right rear as you can, because the cars have a tendency to get tight on aero tight and things on restarts. So you're probably rolling around there and you're probably panicking about the air you're losing out of your right rear, and even your left rear, so to speak. So a lot of guys are probably buzzing their wheels, trying to generate some air pressure. And then just, I'm sure fuel became a concern again, and just really, you just want to get the race going and get into a rhythm. It seems like it's kind of impossible to do there.
That's what I mean. And I mean, if you're a leader, I guess it's okay because you're like, yep, clean track again. I haven't been contested. But when you're in that third and fourth and fifth, when you sort of need lap traffic to maybe make some moves, it must be really frustrating.
Absolutely. Even as the leader, I'm sure it's not ideal to just be putting around there doing yellow laps all the time, especially with that. If you're going to haul it in there on the fence into one, you definitely want air pressure in that right rear. And even like, say if you're 8, 9 pounds, if you go into the restart at 7.5, it feels like things flat, just to give you kind of an indication of how important air pressure is. So those guys are just rolling around there, losing air. And it would freak me out a little bit.
Yeah, and I did see last night they went away really quick from the double file restart, which has been another thing that teams have been pretty vocal on, of like, well, if we're, getting a bit of carnage tonight, let's go away from it. The choose cone the other night, I'm not sure if everyone was stoked with that, but, were you happy to see it straight away go single file?
As a fan, I was, yeah. I just wanted to get to bed. Not just. I wanted to see a good race, but they just have those double file restarts. They have that tendency to breed mayhem. So, I was glad when I saw that they weren't doing them. I'm sure, as a driver, I don't really think. I think there's probably a collective sigh of relief throughout the field when they went to the single cone restart. There's really no sort of skill set involved in it as a driver. It's just like, I'm guessing if you're on the inside there, you're probably going to get a bad one. If you're on the outside, you're more than likely going to get a good one. And then it's probably 50-50 from there if you're going to get crashed or not.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, I guess, I was happy when they seen it. And I'm like, yep, I get what they're trying to do here, which is one of the points we'll get to. Kerry, of one of the single files, it was like he was diving at the bottom to really try to do something coming into turn one, but he overlapped, I believe it was Taylor Milling or someone like that, and I sort of just sitting down the corner of my eye, I'm like, oh, did he pass him before the cone? And then no one said anything, but then we did have that stoppage, and himself and Marcus Dumsney was docked 2 spots. Is that one of the things as a racer where sometimes it can be safety you had to pass the car, but then in a situation you just get a bit too eager? Like, oh, damn it, I got too good of a run, I can't back out of it?
Well, I think just, everyone was kind of starting on the fence there.
Yeah.
Aaron was up on the fence and he was getting give a good pace, and everyone was kind of following him. So I think Kerry tried to get a little creative there on the restart, and he ducked down and caught some of that grip off the bottom, and he probably just did a lot better job at it than he thought he was going to.
Yeah.
It looked like there was a little chunk of moisture there, and he hit that perfectly, and he really didn't have any other choice but to pass Milling. But yeah, I thought it'd be a bit of a fluke if he got away with it, I thought.
Me too, because I'm like, hey, surely if someone's looking at transponder, I think he was just ahead of it. So, but you'd rather it, I guess as a driver, you'd rather it happen with a stoppage and not you go and win the bloody thing. And they're like, by the way, 28 laps ago, you passed here and you've been docked to 3rd. Like, I couldn't imagine that happening.
Yeah, and I mean, it sucked. It was like, obviously I'm the biggest Kerry fan and I was wanting him to win, but
yeah,
that put him he had just passed for 2nd, and then so it went back a lap, which put him back to 3rd, and then 2 spots again from that. So
it was a 5th. Yeah,
it was a huge dock. It went from 2nd to 5th, and it changed the whole landscape of the race for him.
For sure, and then that's what we'll get into. There was a huge battle, and I did feel like we're going to see maybe some guys in lap traffic with the Newton, Kingshot, Williamson, and Kerry Madsen race. Kerry throws a wicked hardcore slider in there, and just it looks like, I don't know, from a driver, did he just blow through and expect the cushion to catch him, and the wall just ate him up, and upside down he goes?
Well, it actually wasn't. He was kind of just sliding himself.
That's what I mean. Like, not like sliding someone.
Yeah,
it was just like, just short sliding it to get it a go in the next corner, if that's what I mean.
Yeah, well, he slid Callum the previous corner.
Yeah.
And then he coming into 3, and then he had Callum on the inside. So he was doing kind of like a half slider line on himself to kind of protect himself from Callum putting a slider on him. And I think that, it looked like there was kind of some patchy rubber in places as well. So it looked like he might have just got a bucket load of grip on the entry, and then in the middle of the corner he's just hit ice. It's basically the best way to put it, and there's just been no grip at all, and it didn't look like there was any stopping him once it kind of got into that slide and hit the fence. And it was some of the guys have been doing it and getting out of it, but he just hit it with a bit too much gusto and flipped over and took himself out of the race, which sucked, because I thought he really had the car to beat, to take it to or to beat Aaron.
It was definitely a top 3 car. I don't think Cow's car looked like it was coming on at the right point too, and then it looked like Ryan had a good car, and then it looked like the last few laps it just faded a little bit. I'm not sure what happened there, but what's your thoughts on to me, I'm like, damn, Cow's got to go to the rear, because to me it looked like he was involved in the wreck, not involved because of Kerry's flip, because I'm very confused. Like, that's a wreck in sprint car racing. Like, no wonder you're a part of it. Were you straight away, what was your thoughts on him restarting at 2nd? I was like, hang on, I think he was involved in that crash, not because of Kerry. Like, no shit, it was because of Kerry's crash, but that's racing crash, or am I wrong?
I don't know. I think it could have just gone either way, mate. And
yeah. Oh no, I love Cow. I'm not saying it's Cow's fault. It's not his. He's in the race car getting told where he's restarting. You know what I mean?
If I was in Callum's spot, I would have been yelling and screaming about getting my spot.
Oh, of course,
back.
Yeah.
But I probably would have, if I was in that same predicament myself, I probably would have thought it was probably 80-20 that you're going to get that spot back. 80% no, 20% yes. But fortunately, the racing gods were on his side, and he got the spot back, and they were able to fix that front wing, and he salvaged a good run out of it.
Wait a second, fix it. Brody put that much bloody duct tape on it. I'm like, there's no way this thing's staying on or it's going to be good. But I can see what they were trying to do. They were trying to just make sure that the winger's in a position to catch air. It doesn't matter what it looked like. And it looked like it did a good job, because it's like it only affected his car a little bit. He said on his interview, it affected entries. But once he got in, It was okay. And have you ever can you sort of explain like when a front wing can do to your car when it's in a situation like that? It's either going to be good or really bad, isn't it?
Obviously, the front wing gives you all the front downforce for the race car, and it seems like they're more important as ever, as we're trying to get the nose down and planted into the racetrack. Luckily for Callum, if there was a racetrack that was probably going to happen on, that was probably the ideal racetrack. You wouldn't want if there's any moisture out there, I'd say he would have been down struggle street for him. But being as thick as it was, and he's such a badass around that place, he was able to bring it home with a good finish. And it was impressive actually.
It was. I'm like, he's either going to be good or back this thing up. And then in my head, I'm thinking straight away, we've had a bit of carnage. Like, is it safe for the whole field for him to race at that spot, with that wing? But then it was, it was all good. Like, I was like, damn, he's driving away from the guys in second, third and fourth here. And then Kingshot and Newton battle. I think Kingshot really found that rubber. He was searching early. On 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then Matt Eagle, when that track goes slick, that car seems to be really good as well. He got Newton on the last lap, and that was your top 5. And but Aaron Reutzel going away, and obviously a new car this week after winning the Classic. That's pretty crazy. Maybe they just couldn't get that car working at the Plex, but it definitely looked like the American consistency of him feathering that wall. Like, it was night and day. Like, he was so far away from the rest of the guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best in America. So at some point, they won the Classic 2 weeks ago, and then it looks like they made a car change. Obviously he's, which he's more accustomed to, and I know Neo off that team, he's works his ass off. So it was only a matter of time before they were going to put themselves in victory lane there as well.
For sure. And just to finish off, one of our sponsors, BK Racing Performance Product, moments of the night. Was there a moment that stood out to you that really changed the night or just was cool as a fan? Or it could be a bad moment. It could be, oh man, that sort of ruined everything.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think that kind of the first probably first lap of some of those heat races were probably the BK move of the nights.
They were full on. Yep.
Yeah, they were full on. I can't remember who it was, but there was one pass around the outside. I think it was like Callum maybe. He made a pass around the outside of 1 and 2 that was just like so close, and it was pretty intense. So that was cool. That
camera angle really makes it go, is he going to send it? Is there room?
Yeah, it does.
And then it goes like, they either go zip or they just go, oh no. No room, slide up. So, my moment would be Callum Williamson with that front wing and doing that performance at the end of the race. I thought it was like, this guy's he literally, I know him. He's like, I'll just send that thing, and he did. Like, he didn't give a shit what the front wing looked like, and I thought that was super impressive. And imagine that on a t-shirt, all the wings like bent up and like still gonna send it or something. I don't know. That was probably my moment of like, I didn't expect it to be that good, and he ripped it. So, but that's the weekend done. Cricket Boys shootout coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday, obviously, and Sydney's back on this week. Are you gonna wander down, or are you just gonna watch from home?
I think I'm gonna go down. So.
You can't stop yourself, can you? I remember when you were there last time, and you're like, oh, Wade wants me to do interviews of rugby racing, but okay, I'm here, I'll do it.
I'm a race tragic, mate, so I'll probably be there.
Yeah. Hey, Sydney was ripper last time. Hopefully we get that same style of racing there. 21 sprint cars, not as many as I'd like to see, especially I'm surprised a lot of Victorian guys still aren't travelling to Sydney to give it a go, but hopefully that changes around.
It's going to take a little bit It's going to take a little bit to build it back up in Sydney. Yeah. But got the right people there, I think. Everyone's putting in a great effort, and like if the last show was anything to go off, everything's there to build it back up to what it deserves to be.
Yeah, for sure, mate. All right, well, that'll do. Thank you. Cool. It's have a good Thursday. And before you go, real quick, no thinking, who's going to win the Cricket Boy shootout?
Kerry.
Oh, yeah, I want to shout that out. Kerry. I shouldn't even ask that bloody question. All right, thanks, mate. Thank you for your time, and good luck with all the injury, and you'll be back in no time, I reckon.
All right, cheers, mate. Thank you.